Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder. Today SoundHound AI Incorporated SOUN just filed an amended and restated merger agreement, and I am seeing a potential shift in deal structure that warrants a closer look. Quick note, this is not financial advice, just my take on public filings for educational purposes. This filing signals a significant update to their acquisition of LivePerson. Incorporated, they are essentially renegotiating the terms of the deal, which could impact how SoundHound AI Incorporated pays for LivePerson Incorporated. We are looking at a filing from SoundHound AI Incorporated dated the 2nd of July 2026. This is a current report, and it is all about a key update to a big deal they are pursuing. This filing announces an amended and restated merger agreement. Think of it like a revised contract for their acquisition of LivePerson Incorporated. This new agreement replaces an older one from the 21st of April 2026. The core of the deal is still a two-step merger where SoundHound AI Incorporated, through its subsidiary merger subs, will acquire LivePerson Incorporated. This two-step merger is designed to absorb LivePerson Incorporated into SoundHound AI Incorporated, becoming a wholly owned subsidiary. The reason for restructuring this deal is often to better align with current market conditions or to address specific challenges that arose with the original agreement. Now let's dive into the nitty-gritty of how shareholders of LivePerson Incorporated will be compensated. Instead of cash in many cases, they will receive shares of SoundHound AI Incorporated's class, a common stock. The number of shares they get per LivePerson Incorporated share is called the per S-share merger consideration. This is calculated based on the total value of the deal and the number of LivePerson Incorporated shares out there. It's important to understand this is a stock-for-stock deal, for the most part, which means the value LivePerson Incorporated shareholders receive is directly tied to the future performance of SoundHound AI Incorporated stock. The total value of this stock payout, called the closing merger consideration, depends on a figure known as the aggregate consideration amount and the company closing stock price. This means the price of SoundHound AI Incorporated stock leading up to the deal's completion becomes a crucial factor in determining the deal's worth for LivePerson Incorporated shareholders. If SoundHound AI Incorporated stock price is lower, LivePerson Incorporated shareholders will receive more shares to make up the difference for the same overall deal value. The aggregate consideration amount is a bit complex. It starts with a base of about $42.8 million. Then it's adjusted by something called LivePerson shortfall cash and the exercise prices of certain in-the-money options. This shortfall cash concept suggests there might be targets for cash that LivePerson Incorporated needs to have on its books. If they fall short, the deal value could be adjusted. The LivePerson shortfall cash is a key adjustment. It is calculated by taking a target amount of $74 million or $71 million. If the deal closes in July, and subtracting any convertible notes LivePerson Incorporated repurchased and their actual cash on hand minus certain expenses. If LivePerson Incorporated has less cash than this target, the shortfall will be factored into the deal. This is a way for SoundHound AI Incorporated to protect itself against LivePerson Incorporated having too little cash at the time of closing, potentially impacting its own liquidity. The company closing stock price is not just the price on any given day, it is an average of the volume-weighted average prices over 10 days leading up to the closing date. But there are caps here. If the average price goes above $12, it is capped at $12. Conversely, if it drops below $7, it is also capped at $7. This is a collar designed to limit extreme volatility in the stock price from impacting the deal value too drastically for either party. For LivePerson Incorporated shareholders, this means their payout is somewhat insulated from wild swings in SoundHound AI Incorporated stock price right before the deal closes. Options and equity awards for LivePerson Incorporated employees are also addressed. Options that are in the money, meaning their exercise price is lower than the deal value, will be handled. Some will be paid out directly with the per S-share merger consideration minus the exercise price and taxes. Others will be cancelled for nothing or assumed by SoundHound AI Incorporated and converted into awards for SoundHound AI Incorporated stock. This is standard practice to retain talent through the transition. A notable aspect is how shares held through the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange, or TASE shares, are treated. These will be converted into cash. The amount of cash each TASE shareholder receives is determined by the closing TASE cash merger consideration divided by the total number of outstanding TASE shares. This cash payout is capped at $7.5 million, so while TASE shareholders get cash, they are limited to this amount regardless of the overall deal value. This suggests a specific strategic reason for having a cash component for these particular shares. This deal is not expected to be tax-free for us federal income tax purposes. This means LivePerson Incorporated shareholders who receive SoundHound AI Incorporated stock may owe taxes on the value of that stock even though they haven't sold it yet. This is a significant factor for investors to consider when evaluating the net proceeds of the deal. Closing this deal still requires a number of conditions to be met. These are pretty standard for mergers. LivePerson Incorporated shareholders need to approve it. Regulatory approvals are necessary. SoundHound AI Incorporated shares need to be approved for listing on the NASDAQ. And both companies need to make sure their financial information is accurate and that no major negative events have happened to LivePerson Incorporated before the deal closes. There is also a mention of notes restructuring transactions which indicate some debt or financing elements are being sorted out as part of this overall acquisition. The agreement also includes standard promises regarding how LivePerson Incorporated will operate its business between now and when the deal closes. They are essentially restricted from looking for other buyers or talking to other companies about mergers. This is to ensure SoundHound AI Incorporated is the only game in town for them. There is a deadline for this deal to close, the 21st of October 2026, which can be pushed to the 5th of December if regulatory approvals take longer. If either company doesn't get shareholder approval, or if LivePerson Incorporated's board decides to back out for a better offer, the deal can be terminated. And if LivePerson Incorporated walks away from the deal under certain conditions, like accepting a better offer, they'll owe SoundHound AI Incorporated a $5 million termination fee, plus transaction expenses. This is a protection for SoundHound AI Incorporated against being strung along. Crucially, LivePerson Incorporated's board of directors has unanimously approved this amended agreement, and they are recommending that their shareholders vote yes. This shows continued commitment from LivePerson Incorporated's leadership. Now, like most of these filings, we have a section dedicated to forward-looking statements. This is basically a disclaimer that states while the companies expect certain outcomes, actual results could be very different due to a whole host of risks and uncertainties. They list numerous risks from the deal not closing to regulatory hurdles to integration challenges. One thing that stands out is the risk of stockholder litigation in connection with the mergers. These types of deals often face lawsuits from shareholders who believe they are not getting a fair price or that the process was flawed. They also mention the risk of customer loss or other business disruption. Integrating two companies is a massive undertaking in keeping customers happy and employees engaged. During that process is a huge challenge. If this integration is rough, it could hurt both companies' revenues and operations. The document also points to additional information available in their S-4 registration statement and proxy statement. These are the more detailed documents where investors can find the full legal terms and all the risks laid out. Finally, this section lists the exhibits filed with the report. The most important one here is Exhibit 2.1, the amended and restated merger agreement itself, which is incorporated by reference. Looking at SoundHound AI Incorporated stock performance, recently shares have been volatile. It is trading around $2.70 and has seen a lot of movement in the past year. With this deal restructuring, it's essential to consider how this impacts the company's future. The fact that TASE shareholders get cash suggests a desire to simplify or finalize certain aspects of the deal, which could be a positive for moving forward. However, the stock-for-stock component means LivePerson Incorporated shareholders are now betting on SoundHound AI Incorporated's ability to execute and grow post-merger. The risk of tax implications for LivePerson Incorporated shareholders is also a critical point. If this deal doesn't offer a significant upside to SoundHound AI Incorporated stock price over the long term, LivePerson Incorporated shareholders might end up paying taxes on shares that haven't appreciated substantially. My biggest concern is the potential for continued stockholder litigation as mentioned in the forward-looking statements. These lawsuits can drag out the process and add significant costs. What I am actually looking for is a clear post-merger integration plan that demonstrates how SoundHound AI Incorporated will leverage LivePerson Incorporated's assets to create synergistic growth. Oh, and the research tools I actually use are linked in the description. They help keep this channel going. That is my take. Stay decoded. If you found this analysis helpful, let me know in the comments and subscribe for more. You can also join our Discord community linked below.